Are the animals in your life more than just coincidences? What if every single time an animal catches your eye, a sudden, persistent presence you just can't shake? It's not mere chance. Consider that hummingbird darting around your head when you're overwhelmed with doubt, or the gecko that keeps appearing in your office just as you're contemplating a massive career shift. What about the owl that calls out every single night, precisely when your deepest, most unsettling thoughts emerge? Perhaps none of it is random. Perhaps each creature, from the smallest insect to the largest bird, is a meticulously placed sacred signal from the universe, a direct, nonverbal communication meant to guide your soul through its current. Intense transformation. The truth is, as your spirit begins its awakening process, the cosmos rarely uses audible words or written messages. Instead, it operates in the language of symbols, the wisdom of nature, and most profoundly through the deliberate presence of animals that most of humanity passes by without a second thought. But you, the one who is awakening, you have noticed. You felt that uncanny pull, that recognition. That specific feeling is not a quirk of your imagination. It's an energetic alignment. Your shifting inner world has activated a powerful beacon, and your external reality is responding by sending continuous, subtle, and fundamentally divine messages. Understand this: animals are far more than biological entities. They function as mirrors for your spirit, silent living guides along your unique and unfolding journey. When a specific animal enters your awareness, especially with an undeniable frequency or intensity, you must accept that the universe has chosen to communicate with you directly, bypassing the chatter of your logical mind. Today, we're going to illuminate the 5 powerful creatures that almost universally appear during a period of intense spiritual awakening, not in folklore, but right here, in the texture of your everyday life. Each animal carries an encoded message that is too precise to dismiss as chance and too potent to ignore. If you've been intuitively sensing a profound meaning behind their appearances, your instincts are validated. This script is your personal confirmation, but a word of warning is necessary. If you choose to overlook or brush off these intuitive signs, you risk missing the very core answer or direction your soul has been silently, desperately pleading for. This message, this experience with the animal messengers, was sent specifically for you for this time in your life. Once you fully grasp and internalize its meaning, the way you perceive your entire life, your challenges and your destiny will be altered forever. A new reality awaits on the other side of this understanding. Before we dive into the revelation of the first animal, I want you to check in with your deepest self. Do you feel a stirring, a deep, resonant recognition that this information is meant for you, a part of you that cannot be rationally explained? If this message hits home, please take a moment to engage. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to join this community of awakened souls, and comment 77 below. Why the number 77? Because 7 is the sacred number of inner work, introspection, and spiritual perfection. When it is doubled, it signifies a powerful activation of both inner and outer wisdom. Your presence here right now means your next profound chapter is about to begin. Let's start the initiation. The serpent. Your soul is ready for profound transformation. You don't just happen to see a snake or a serpent, you feel its presence in the air, a jolt of primal energy. The way it appears, silent, fluid, ancient, is deliberate. It feels like it's not just moving across your path but is drawing a line in the sand, like it possesses a profound, secret knowledge of your destiny. And it absolutely does. When a serpent slithers into your awareness during an awakening phase, it's not a creature to inspire fear. It's a living symbol meant to pierce the illusion of permanence in your life with a potent, undeniable message from the deeper realms. The person you were yesterday can no longer contain the elevated consciousness you are becoming today. Serpents don't appear to offer superficial comfort. They arrive to radically disrupt the comfortable delusion of who you think you are and what you believe you need. True spiritual transformation is rarely a gentle, pleasant experience. It often begins with intense discomfort and shedding, that strange feeling of restlessness, the deeply intuitive sense that a major part of your life, no matter how deeply ingrained, is simply not working anymore. This feeling is the old skin splitting, a sign that your spirit is preparing for a new, expansive existence. The appearance of the snake is a powerful call to release the attachments that once defined your security, but are now functioning as energetic anchors, draining your life force. This could be a belief system that limits your potential, a habit that poisons your body or mind, or an old story you keep telling yourself that reduces your power. The serpent is a reminder to shed that which is dead. You may try to rationalize the feeling away, or numb the uncomfortable truth, but the universe is persistent. So it sends the serpent again and again, across different paths, through different dreams. Repetition is the undeniable voice of the soul, and the serpent's message, while eternal, is always immediate and urgent. It is time to let go of the skin you've outgrown, so you can step into the magnificent being you were always destined to be. This is a moment of total metamorphosis, but here is the most crucial part of the serpentine message that is often misunderstood. The serpent's transformation is a deep process of vulnerability and complete internal restructuring. It begins by withdrawing, dissolving, and surrendering every particle of its old form until it emerges, reborn, with a fresh, vibrant, and stronger skin. Total surrender is the currency of true transformation. If the serpent is an active symbol in your life, you are being called to enter your own process of shedding. This isn't a time to hide from the world, but to retreat for the purpose of intense internal healing and evolution. Yes, the process can feel intensely isolating. Yes, there may be days where it feels like nothing is changing on the surface. But trust the process of deconstruction. The breakdown is never the final destination. It is the sacred necessary preparation for your profound and unstoppable emergence. Across many spiritual traditions, the serpent is seen as the guardian of the mysteries, often connected to Kundalini energy, wisdom, and the life force itself. It appears when your energy is shifting dramatically, when the coiled power within you is ready to uncoil and ascend. If you've felt a powerful, almost electric surge of energy, or if you feel you've been protected or guided through a difficult time, this is not your imagination. The serpent doesn't shout. It glides in with a quiet, undeniable authority to declare, "You are not the same soul you were yesterday. Stop operating from your old self." The real question that matters now is, are you finally ready to heed this ancient call? Remember this profound truth. The serpent doesn't beg to be reborn. It simply sheds. Maybe the reason you've felt such intense pressure lately is that it is finally time to release every layer of the past that cannot accompany you into your new life. Before you embrace this new, potent energy, there is another messenger waiting. It is completely different from the serpent, silent, meticulous, and focused. If you overlook its subtle presence, you might miss the very blueprint for successfully integrating your massive spiritual shifts into a sustainable, practical life. Remain present. You are about to meet this foundational guide. Not every divine signal arrives with a dramatic, primal energy. Some appear quietly, buzzing intensely around your space, often unnoticed by the frantic, busy mind, but unmistakable to the awakened, observant soul. The bee does not slither or roar. It operates with a powerful, focused hum. It moves with a singular, deliberate intention. Yet when the bee persistently shows up, especially in your personal, quiet spaces, it is delivering a spiritual memo that you cannot afford to delete. Your inner hive needs order. It's time to build, serve, and connect with intention. Think about where the bees are sited. The flower beds, yes, but also unexpectedly near your windows, your porch or your garden. Suddenly, they're not a lone visitor. They are a constant, focused presence. And yet, you might feel a rush to shoo them away, annoyed by the interruption. But the bee is not here to distract you. It came to reveal a hidden truth about your work and your social structure. The disarray, the overcommitment, or the isolated delay. The bee is the absolute master of divine cooperation and industrious order. Every flight path it takes is backed by a collective purpose. Every drop of nectar collected is synced to a greater plan. So when a beehive's energy invades your reality, it's not simply signaling busyness in the garden. It is pointing to a structural deficit in your work ethic, your daily habits, and your energetic field of service. Here is the challenging truth. Spiritual breakthroughs that are not grounded in disciplined structure and service often turn into self-indulgent chaos. You cannot sustain a higher vibration if your everyday life lacks focus and integrity. Bees appear when your visions are vast, but your daily consistency cannot support them. Their message whispers, work diligently, create sweetness, collaborate. And yet, the most profound teaching of the bee is often the most overlooked. You were never designed to do this spiritual work alone. Look at the hive. They never isolate. They function as a collaborative, interconnected superorganism. They are here to remind you that seeking and accepting help is not a sign of weakness. It is the highest spiritual wisdom. Divine timing often requires divine support from your soul family. Trying to shoulder the full burden of your spiritual growth and your worldly duties on your own is the quickest route to burnout and collapse. So, if you've been pushing relentlessly forward in isolation, refusing to delegate tasks, avoiding necessary rest, or constantly telling yourself, "I must handle this all myself," while your entire being screams exhaustion, the bee is here to interrupt that illusion. It asks you to confront, where are you operating out of a deep-seated fear of relying on others? Where are you feigning strength just to prevent your inner and outer world from crumbling? The medicine of the bee is humble yet powerfully restorative. They don't just survive. They generate golden healing abundance from tiny repetitive acts of devotion. One piece of work at a time. One sacred focused routine at a time. One soul-aligned connection at a time. Perhaps your next great spiritual leap isn't found in another exotic retreat or esoteric ritual. Maybe it's in the simple act of creating an orderly schedule, prioritizing your energy, connecting with your purpose-driven community, and ruthlessly cutting out activities that do not generate sweetness. Your soul may not require more input. It desperately needs focused integration and output. When you finally heed this call, when you pause the chaotic noise and begin to lay the first intentional, practical brick of your new, stable foundation, the external world ceases to feel like a battle. Because the moment your internal and external world aligns, the universe supports your every step. But do not transition yet, because the next animal does not crawl or walk. It soars directly into your life, carrying a message from the highest realms of pure consciousness. What it has to say may be the direct answer to that longing question you've been too afraid to voice. Some signs do not approach humbly. They descend with absolute power. They arrive not with a gentle hum, but with a powerful dark wing and a voice that demands attention. They show up precisely when your heart is weighed down by sorrow and your mind is a cacophony of worry. And they do something unsettlingly specific. A sudden, sharp caw from a nearby tree. A raven that perches and stares directly at you. A persistent shadow in your peripheral vision. Coincidence? Absolutely not. This is divine intervention. In the context of a spiritual awakening, the raven and the crow are not common background noise. They are the ancient, powerful messengers, the spiritual antennae that carry the frequencies from the highest, unseen realms, from universal consciousness, from your most powerful guides, and from your own future self, trying desperately to cut through the static of your current reality. Every black feather is a vibration. Every call is a coded spiritual message of deep transformation and powerful magic. The moment you truly pay attention, you realize they have been waiting for you to look up all along. The raven does not bring superficial comfort. It brings the deep, often unsettling truth that precedes massive personal power. It appears during the darkest point of your emotional journey, when you have forgotten your own strength. The raven, often misunderstood and feared, is one of the most potent guides during the crucible of transformation. It doesn't symbolize death. It signifies alchemical rebirth, the death of the old self to make way for the fully realized one. It circles and watches when a major pattern or outdated life structure must be consciously and ritually released for a far greater, more authentic reality to be birthed. The raven and crow do not show up to simply occupy space. They appear to shatter your rhythm, to force your gaze away from the mundane ground of your worries, and to radically remind you that you are not merely a collection of anxieties and flesh. You are pure infinite spirit. You are vast, and you are in truth deeply and powerfully connected to the stream of creation. But here is the message that most people miss in their fear of the dark. The raven doesn't just communicate your current state. It is the herald of what is about to happen, a deep fated shift. A powerful, self-aware individual once shared her story of a time she was paralyzed by a fear of stepping into her true power. Every morning, a massive raven would land on her roof and stare into her bedroom window. She initially felt dread, but she began to listen to the feeling. One day, she acknowledged the bird, spoke her deepest truth out loud, and felt a flood of courageous resolve. She said it felt like her spirit had been waiting for cosmic permission to step out of the shadows and embrace her destiny. That is the function of the raven. It brings the profound permission your spirit has been waiting for, to embrace your hidden power, to trust your darkest intuitive knowledge, and to rise above the limitations of your logical mind. The raven has been following you. If it appears constantly in your path, if its call won't leave your mind, this is not random wildlife. This is cosmic navigation. Your soul is being rerouted, re-energized, and deeply reconnected to your higher purpose. But here is the test you must pass. Will you achieve enough stillness to fully receive the message? In a world addicted to endless input and noise, only the soul that stops and listens can hear the voice of higher consciousness. And that voice doesn't always come through ancient texts or dramatic visions. Sometimes it manifests as a solitary, magnificent blackbird. So listen, not just with your physical ears, but with the full, expanded awareness of your spirit. Because once the raven flies onward, the message shifts completely. And what comes next is not winged or loud. It is a creature that weaves, waits, and watches from the subtle edges. It may hold the definitive key to breaking the relentless emotional cycles you've been trapped in for years. Not every divine signal arrives with powerful wings or a commanding song. Some appear in silence, in the absolute stillness, in the small, often ignored crevices of your busy life. The lizard doesn't announce its presence. It waits, often motionless. It observes, it knows. And when it begins to appear, on your sunny windowsill, darting across your study floor, or on the edge of a wall just as you're contemplating a difficult situation, it is not there to startle you. It is there to reveal your current spiritual architecture. In the powerful language of spiritual symbolism, the lizard is the keeper of the small moments and the great pattern. It represents the intricate, energetic web you are constantly weaving with every repetitive thought, every deeply held belief, every lingering memory, and every avoided emotion. You may believe you are simply existing, just trying to make it through the day. But in the spiritual world, every habit you mindlessly repeat, every emotional wound you refuse to heal, every difficult choice you continuously postpone, it is all thread. And that thread is silently, diligently forming a complex pattern, a design, a definite destiny for your future. The lizard doesn't confront you with, "What are you doing?" It asks the more profound, piercing question, what are you actively creating without even realizing the power of your creation? It shows up when you are trapped in exhausting, repetitive loops. When you lament, why does this same painful scenario keep manifesting in my life? When the supporting characters change, but the core issue and the resultant pain remain identical. When your life begins to feel like a frustrating déjà vu, that is when the lizard appears to quietly confirm, this is not chaos. This is a pattern, a structure, and you are the primary architect. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't panic or stress. It is a quiet reminder of an absolute truth you often forget in your state of spiritual exhaustion. Conscious creation takes time. Real, deep, and lasting transformation requires quiet, consistent patience. The most sacred, powerful structures, be they physical or energetic, are never built overnight. They are meticulously and deliberately spun one intentional, small thread at a time. But here is the liberating twist. The exact same creative power that binds you into a trap can be instantly harnessed to construct a vibrant, empowering bridge to your future. Everything depends on your moment-to-moment awareness. Are you currently weaving a reality that actively empowers your soul, or one that keeps you tightly bound to the limited person you no longer want to be? The lizard urges you to look with absolute honesty at your daily routines, your default emotional reactions, your spiritual autopilot, and then to consciously, powerfully choose the quality of the thread you will spin next. Be warned, Attempting to ignore the lizard's presence will not magically dissolve the pattern. It will only cause you to become more deeply and subtly entangled in a web of your own, unconscious making. The lizard teaches that sometimes what feels like frustrating stagnation on the outside is actually a period of deep, sacred construction on the inside. And sometimes, what appears to be a chaotic lack of progress is actually an intense realignment of everything real and necessary within your soul. A respected teacher once spoke of a time when small green lizards began appearing constantly in his meditation space, on his yoga mat, even in his dreams. He initially dismissed it as a nuisance, but the more he tried to ignore them, the more insistent they became. Finally, he stopped and realized he was repeating the precise self-sabotaging emotional cycle in every new, promising venture, including his relationship with his own spiritual practice. That single, painful realization unraveled the entire web, and that is the quiet, unassuming beauty of the lizard. It will not force the truth upon you. It will simply keep presenting the evidence until you are fully ready to accept and observe it. So if you've been noticing lizards, or if you feel a sensation that your life is intensely and quietly shifting behind the scenes, know this: you are not stuck. You are weaving, but the quality of the tapestry you are currently weaving will determine whether you experience your next massive breakthrough or your next painful breakdown. Therefore, choose your focus and your thoughts wisely, because once this particular pattern is fully woven and complete, it instantaneously becomes the reality you are forced to inhabit. And just when you believe you have all the keys to the puzzle, the universe introduces a final, wild, and utterly unexpected messenger. It neither glides nor weaves. It leaps straight into your path, not to gently warn you, but to radically and completely purify you. The frog does not enter your life with a polite, measured pace. It leaps in with a sudden, wet, undeniable jolt, bursting out of the deep shadows, out of the murky emotional water out of nowhere, yet arriving with impeccable timing. And when it lands near you, you feel an unmistakable inner reaction. That brief moment of shock and the accompanying thought, "What is this creature trying to tell me?" is the direct knowing of your spirit. This is no accident. This is a powerful summons. In the deep, ancient language of spiritual and shamanic practices, the frog is not a symbol of superficial luck or a cause for fear. It is the absolute gatekeeper of alchemical transformation, a powerful guide navigating the border between the seen and the unseen, a creature that thrives between the solid earth and the fluid water, the tangible world, and the highly emotional, spiritual realm. It appears when your inner waters, your emotional body, have become stagnant, polluted, or toxic. It arrives when you have suppressed far too much unexpressed pain, when you've buried too many secrets, or when you are severely weighed down by a layer of ancient grief you once promised yourself you had successfully processed. The physical body and the spirit always remember the truth, and when the cosmic timing is right to radically clear this accumulated residue, the frog makes its appearance. It doesn't offer soothing words. It doesn't bring comfort. Confronts you with a raw, undeniable truth, and it states without saying a single word, you are emotionally full. It is time to radically empty yourself. Perhaps it has been months or even years since you allowed yourself a genuinely deep cry, since you let the emotional dam break, since you screamed your truth into the profound silence, or since you fully wrote down that haunting truth you swore you would eternally suppress. Perhaps you have mastered the art of pretending to be emotionally fine, but deep within, your authentic soul is struggling to breathe. The frog is not concerned with external appearances. It does not care how spiritual or composed you look to the world. It is only concerned with the profound toxic emotional load you are carrying that is no longer yours to hold. Have you ever noticed the intense correlation? Frogs become most active immediately after a heavy rain, after a cleansing storm has passed, when the very earth smells of deep essential renewal, as if the planet itself has just performed a massive exhalation. That is the divine invitation the frog offers you. Let it rain inside of you. Allow the grief to finally rise. Allow the lingering sadness to be fully felt. Allow the guilt to surface and speak, not to shame you, but to be acknowledged so it can finally be released. The frog brings radical purification, not superficial punishment. Some traditions venerate the frog as the supreme spirit animal of healers and shamans. Others believe it appears specifically to those standing on the very precipice of a brand new, magnificent life, but who are still desperately clinging to the comfort of the old familiar pain. If you've encountered frogs appearing repeatedly on your path, especially in the late evening, or immediately following an intense emotional trigger, then your soul is being explicitly called into a ritual of profound release. It is time to journal every painful secret you have hidden and ceremoniously burn the page. Time to take a massive salt bath and sob without the slightest whisper of shame. Time to speak that truth, however small, to the person or memory that still echoes in your deepest bones. Time to fully and unequivocally forgive yourself for not knowing how to let go sooner. The frog does not promise instant quiet peace, but it does guarantee an absolutely necessary cleansing. And with that intense cleansing comes piercing clarity. With clarity comes a renewed, powerful courage. And with courage comes an undeniable rebirth. So if the frog has powerfully entered your sphere, do not try to step over it. Do not carelessly brush it away as a common annoyance. Listen, because the very thing you have been begging the universe to give you, a breakthrough, a definitive sign, a life-altering shift, might be patiently waiting for you on the other side of your complete and total emotional release. And once you release, you will rise. But here is the final, most sacred secret the frog leaves in its wake. The final, most important layer of transformation is not achieved through intense effort. It is achieved through absolute courageous surrender. And now that you have fully absorbed the wisdom of the shedding serpent, the disciplined work of the bee, the potent wisdom of the raven, the insightful patterns of the lizard, and the final, cleansing cry of the frog, it is time. Time to step back, to breathe deeply, and to fully comprehend the entire, magnificent picture. Because when all 5 of these messengers, or even a combination of 2 or 3, appear in quick succession, it is the universe's undeniable confirmation that something profound is irrevocably awakening inside you. Something permanent, something fundamentally divine. And in the final moments of this message, you are going to feel its power resonate throughout your entire being. You used to label these events as mere coincidence. You used to dismiss them as simple common nature. Now you know the absolute truth. That serpent wasn't just a creature. It was your soul's radical call to shed the old self. That buzzing bee was guiding you to rebuild a focused, connected foundation from the inside out. The raven's dark, commanding melody was a direct message from the divine asking, "Is your powerful intuition still active and listening?" The lizard on the wall was the quiet, reflective mirror of the very emotional patterns you've been caught in. And the frog was not a muddy disturbance, but a sacred final ritual of release. They did not appear to simply decorate your ordinary life. They manifested to profoundly awaken it. Because when you consciously begin to see the world differently, you instantly begin to live differently. The universe doesn't knock timidly. It doesn't use a megaphone. It whispers through wings, through webs, through the wet, sudden steps on a dark, mysterious path. And only those souls who are truly ready, those who have done the necessary inner work, will finally comprehend the message. You are not crazy. You are not imagining these uncanny synchronicities. You are not alone. You are being powerfully initiated into a deeper, more profound awareness, into a sacred, beautiful responsibility, into a life where absolutely everything, every moment, every creature, every shadow, and every feeling is fundamentally imbued with meaning. So I ask you now, in this powerful moment of recognition, will you fully honor the truth you have seen today? Will you consciously step forward with your eyes wide open, your spirit fully alert, and your heart finally cleansed? Because nothing in your perception will ever look the same again. Not your home, not your thoughts, and certainly not the powerful way you walk through this beautiful world. You have been marked by the signs, and they have led you precisely here, to this exact decisive moment. I invite you to make a final declaration. Comment below, "I am a weaver of light. I am finally listening." Type it as a powerful, non-negotiable decree. Let that intention echo out into your entire energetic field. Let it mark today as the precise moment you fully woke up to your purpose. And if this profound message stirred something deep within your soul, please share it. Let it ripple out and reach the next soul who desperately needs to remember the truths their own instincts have been whispering for years. Because the truth of awakened living does not belong to just one soul. It ripples. It expands. It awakens the world one brave heart at a time. You have seen the signs. You have heard the powerful call. Now it is your courageous turn to answer. You are fundamentally not the same person who pressed play on this video. You have been touched by something ancient and profound. And from this very moment forward, you don't merely walk the path. You walk with purpose, with vision, and with an unquenchable fire in your soul. Go forth and fully become the magnificent being the signs have always known you were destined to be. Awakened, aligned, and absolutely unstoppable.